Well, good evening, everyone. You are listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Today is IG Day. It has come out. So many people are talking about it, and it is just as bad as we had hoped. All of that spin from the mainstream media for the last couple of weeks about how it was going to fall flat, no one was going to get in trouble. Guys, this sets the stage for the next phase of this investigation, and you know who's running the second phase of this investigation? That is going to be Durham and then Barr ahead of them. We've got statements directly from Barr and Durham talking about exactly what they're going to do and who they're going to do it to. So please, everyone, sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsor. It's an age-old story. One person is hot, the other's cold, and they wage war over what degree the bedroom should be. Well, couples can forever solve the battle over the thermostat with this very handy device. Introducing SleepIsForMe.com. SleepIsForMe.com offers an electronic cooling and heating pad for your mattress. The pad allows you to set exact temperatures to each individual side of the bed so you can sleep comfortably. No pills and no willpower needed. Why? Because cooling is the ultimate hack to get you to sleep. Trigger your brain to fall asleep 98% faster. Whether you have 6 hours or 8, science meets a magical experience to give you the quality sleep your body needs. You can also program the temperature of your mattress with Sleep Is For Me's proprietary mobile app without even being home. With degree-by-degree adjustability, you'll be able to have temperature perfection all night long. Hot flash at 3 a.m.? No problem. Flipping the pillow at 2 a.m.? Well, that's a thing of the past. Want to climb into a warm bed to start your sleep? Awesome. Do your Monday nights look different than your Friday nights? Well, ours too. You can also set different nightly sleep temperatures with ease. Sleep Is For Me is the perfect gift this holiday season. Buy 1, 2, or even 3 for all your family members. They will love you forever and finally get the sleep they deserve. All right, guys, thank you for sticking around. First of all, we're going to start off today with a couple of tweets from Mark Meadows. Now, before the report came out publicly, he stated, "I just got out of a nearly 2-hour briefing on the IG report. It is deeply disturbing. Some former FBI and DOJ officials are about to have some serious explaining to do. More details to come shortly." And he follows it up saying, "And after reading this, it's no wonder we've been seeing defensive leaks in the New York Times and CNN, and that the Democrats rushed to hold an impeachment hearing the same day. It's every bit as bad as advertised, and certainly worse than the media has been suggesting." Now, as I stated in the intro, the media has been trying to spin this to do as much damage control as possible, and we all knew that this current impeachment hearing was specifically designed to draw attention away from the IG report. Now, because of that fact, I am not even going to cover the impeachment hearing because we all know it's a farce. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next tweet thread from Mark Meadows because he breaks down some really key points. All right, he says, "You will probably see plenty of spin and headlines today claiming the FBI is exonerated in this report. That is laughable, to put it lightly. The report eviscerates senior officials who broke rules and abused power." Let's go over some of the details. For starters, the no bias talking point you see is misdirection from the left. See this line from the IG. "Our role in this review was not to second-guess discretionary judgments made by department personnel about whether to open an investigation." If you see someone harping on the bias point, they're giving you a broad, misapplied talking point to distract from the specifics within the IG report that are damning. Some top takeaways. Number 1, the FBI heavily abused the FISA process and presented false information and withheld exculpatory info from the court. Number 2, the FBI used defensive briefings to investigate Trump campaign officials. And number 3, the FBI relied on knowingly dubious sources for anti-Trump information. Now, from page 361, major FISA abuse. The IG identified numerous serious factual errors and omissions in the applications that undercut certain allegations in the FISA applications. They knowingly used bad information to surveil American citizens in the Trump campaign. What did we expect? Of course they did. They are so desperate to get rid of President Trump, they will go after anyone in his circle and break the law to do so. They lied. They withheld information that directly contradicted the information they were presenting just so they could get those FISA warrants. On page 341, In August 2016, the FBI used a briefing with the Trump campaign as an opportunity to gather potentially relevant investigative information about Michael Flynn, a member of the Trump campaign at the time. What the IG report on page 341 tells you is that the FBI used a defensive briefing with the Trump campaign as a tool for an investigation into its members. Simply unbelievable. On page 289, Peter Strzok lied to the OIG. Strzok said he didn't know whether Bruce Ohr kept meeting with Steele after Steele was terminated, but Strzok's handwritten notes show he got updates on 12/12, 12/20, and 1/23/17 regarding Ohr and Steele's ongoing communications. Clearly, he lied. People have gone to prison for far less, and very recently. On page 64, Andy McCabe kept Peter Strzok on the Crossfire Hurricane team despite warnings. The IG says there were even times that Strzok and Lisa Page evidently bypassed chain of command to advise specifically Andrew McCabe about cases related to the information. That is a red flag. Another IG report nugget: as we suspected, the FBI kept using Chris Steele even after he was terminated for cause. Bruce Ohr met with the FBI 13 times to pass along information he had been given by Steele, who had already been fired. Now, there is more, and we'll continue sharing. Bottom line, this report confirms what we've been saying. There was significant abuse all over the FBI's efforts to investigate the Trump campaign. And it continues, you guys. I've got tweets coming up from John Solomon, tweets coming up from Technofog, and even more. Let's go. Now, one of the biggest things that were just in that thread from Mark Meadows, and John Solomon reiterates it here, the IG report lays out a compelling case with evidence that the FBI misled the FISA court in the Russia case. This is not simply the accidental omission of information or losing papers, losing evidence. They specifically left out information that they felt would nullify the very evidence they were presenting to the FISA court, thereby guaranteeing the fact that the FISA court would grant the warrant. Now, we're going to take a look at the OIG report next. Now, one of the first things to note about the release of the IG report is the timing. Jordan Sather here has a tweet that says, ready to add another layer to the landslide of Q proofs with this IG report. Not only did Justice OIG tweet about the release at 1:29 p.m. Eastern, the Justice Department tweeted AG Barr's statement about it at 1:29 Eastern. Both, of course, the same day as Q's watch was posted a week ago. Now, let's take a look at this. Remember, the other day we had this post from our favorite Anon, and the watch was sitting at 1:29 p.m. Eastern. And as we can see here, for the time correction, the OIG report was released by the IG at 1:29 Eastern. And then, of course, we also have Barr's statement also released at 1:29 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, to follow that up, if you'll remember, 2 years ago, our favorite Anon put out a tweet that said justice. And we were reminded of this post also the same day the watch was put out. Now, another very interesting proof, I guess Trump just said plus, plus, plus. Remember the plus, plus, plus proof? It was one of our very first ones. Let's take a look. So, back in November 6th of 2017, we had the plus, plus, plus post, and then 7 minutes later, Donald Trump also tweeted a message with plus, plus, plus. And here, in a tweet from Think For Yourself, we have a video capture of Trump saying plus, 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 the same day as the IG report is released. Let's take a listen.
Durham report, which is coming out in the not too distant future. It's got his own information, which is this information plus, plus, plus. And it's an incredible thing that happened, and we're lucky we caught him. I think I'm going to put this down as one of our great achievements, because
you cannot deny that the president just said plus, plus, plus. Why? Once again, would the president say that? It was said 2 years ago in conjunction with that Q post, and now today on the release of the IG report, where we have so many proofs coming true, President Trump once again says plus, plus, plus. Now, in this clip where President Trump says plus, 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 and we've got a longer, better view from Methods here, he goes into his thoughts on exactly what took place and just how damaging it was for America and what it all really meant. So let's go ahead and take a look at this clip from Methods, and we'll be right back.
Well, they fabricated evidence and they lied to the courts and they did all sorts of things to have it go their way. And this was something that we can never allow to happen again. The report actually, and especially when you look into it, and the details of the report are far worse than anything I would have even imagined. What they were doing and what they would have done if I didn't make a certain move that was a very important move, because it would have been even worse if that's possible. And they might have been able to succeed. This was an overthrow of government. This was an attempted overthrow, and a lot of people were in on it, and they got caught. They got caught red-handed. And I look forward to the Durham report, which is coming out in the not-too-distant future. It's got his own information, which is this information plus, plus, plus. And it's an incredible thing that happened, and we're lucky we caught him. I think I'm going to put this down as one of our great achievements, because what we found and what we saw, never, ever should this happen again in our country.
The president is absolutely right. This was an unprecedented breach of trust, breach of our rules and ethics, and it shows just how deep this corruption ran throughout our federal government. Absolutely disgusting display, but we've still got Durham's report coming up, and you know what's different about Durham? He can actually bring criminal indictments. Now, here is another stunning proof from Sun Q Zoo. Wow, another massive Q proof. If you search Comey in the IG report, there's nothing. But if you search corny, every mention of Comey pops up. Guess who else misspelled Comey as corny? That was our favorite Anon. Check out post 2943. Wow. This is incredible, you guys. So many more proofs. I'm just absolutely overjoyed that the report was released at 129. Myself, Methods, White Hat, Tootsie, we were all talking about this the other day, and it did, in fact, come true. Now, here is the press release on the OIG report, this is called the Review of 4 FISA Applications and Other Aspects of the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane Operation. Now, you can see the report is quite lengthy, you guys. It's over 400 pages. We are going to go directly to the analysis and the recommendations because those really bring it together. So Chapter 11, the analysis of Chapters 3 through 10 begins on page 345. So obviously, this is why it took so long to get this report out, guys. They had so many documents to comb through. They had so many interviews to do, and they did not want to just rush through and throw this out to the public without doing a full and exhaustive investigation. There is so much information to go through here, but I think the best way for us to examine the information presented so far is to go to a tweet thread from my good friend Technofog. Now, here at the beginning, he says the FBI used Christopher Steele to get information on General Flynn. The FBI promised Steele he would be paid significantly for this information. That's right, you guys. The FBI sicked Christopher Steele on General Flynn. They specifically went after him. Now, in August of 2016, SSA-1, he guesses Pkwy, ran an op against Flynn under the guise of providing a defensive briefing. So Pkwy stated that the briefing provided him the opportunity to gain assessment and possibly have some level of familiarity with Flynn. So should we get to the point where we need to do a subject interview, I would have that to fall back on. So he was doing background on the distinct possibility he was going to be interviewing him in the future as some type of a suspect. Now, in August of 2016, a counterintelligence FARA case was in fact opened on Flynn, just a week after the Flynn Intel Group signed a contract and before it had done much work, if any. And this is extremely suspicious timing. Clearly, they were waiting for an opportunity to strike. Now, the IG report confirms our previous suspicions, counterintelligence investigations undertaken for FARA violations, and there is more info stated here. Crossfire Hurricane was opened by CD and was assigned a case number used by the FBI for possible violations of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, which makes it a crime to act as an agent of a foreign government without making periodic public disclosures of that relationship. Now, the FBI did not have information corroborating Steele's reporting. Without that corroboration, they lied to the FISA court about Steele's credentials and his prior history as an informant. Now, the Halper-Papadopoulos conversations were conducted by the FBI and recorded. The FISA application did not include the statements Papadopoulos made to his CHS that were in conflict with the info included in the FISA application. So that sounds like Halper was working specifically for the FBI when trying to ensnare George Papadopoulos in the trap that they were setting for him. The worst accusations against Carter Page, that he was offered a bribe in return for lifting sanctions, turned out to be a Christopher Steele lie. Texts from the subsource never even discussed a bribe, so Carter Page completely framed in that situation. So in every instance we have here where the left, where the Democrats, where all of the media establishment tried to run out and scream that President Trump's people were assets of a foreign government working for the Russians, where they had evidence to state that this was a fact, all of it was a lie. And all of the information directly contradicting the government's case against these people in the FISA court was intentionally left out. This right here, on its own, is such an egregious abuse of the FISA system, but this is not where it ends. Now, here we have from Breaking 911, Bill Barr's response to the IG report. He says the Inspector General's report now makes it clear that the FBI launched an intrusive investigation of a U.S. presidential campaign on the thinnest of suspicions that, in my view, were insufficient to justify the steps taken. Clearly, they were insufficient to justify the steps taken, and everything that was done was just to remove President Trump from office because they didn't like him. They were willing to break the rules. They were willing to frame people. And I dare you to take a look at this statement from Barr and not try to imagine exactly what's going to happen to these people. With Bill Barr as the Attorney General at the head of the Justice Department, I can only imagine what is coming down the pike for these treasonous traitors. Now, what's become very noticeable here from the IG report is that if it weren't for the bogus Steele dossier, the government never would have been able to obtain any of these FISA warrants. Now, according to the IG, the anti-Trump Crossfire Hurricane operation wanted a FISA on Carter Page in August of 2016. They were told there was insufficient evidence to warrant it. Well, on September 19th, the day the FBI received that bogus Steele dossier, they relaunched the FISA operation on Page. Now, one thing that I found quite interesting is that in this IG report, Horowitz lays out 17 separate inaccuracies across 3 surveillance applications, including the one dealing with Carter Page, who served as the foreign policy advisor to President Trump in 2016. Devin Nunes is speaking out. He says, looks like the DOJ IG report is clear that Republican FISA abuse memo from February of 2018 was accurate and actually understated the FISA abuse the dirty cops engaged in. Time for FISA court to take action. Now remember, Adam Schiff and the other Democrats in Congress were calling this report that the Republicans put out pure fiction. They were trying to do anything they could to spin it, to make it seem like these guys were making stuff up. Well, now we clearly know that it was the Democrats and the deep state that was making all the evidence up. Devin continues, the American people will finally learn the truth that the Steele dossier was, in fact, used in the Obama administration's intelligence community assessment, and he calls it Barry's dossier, because we know this went right to the top. Now, in the IG report, it shows that an FBI official higher up than Peter Strzok was involved in opening the Crossfire Hurricane operation to spy on Trump. Now, who was it? Was it Jim Comey or Corney, or was it Andrew McCabe? The DOJ Inspector General finally released the IG report today, and it revealed what we knew all along, that the FBI defrauded the FISA court. Now, according to the report, former counterintelligence FBI chief Peter Strzok wasn't the sole or even the highest level decision maker in opening the CI investigation into Trump's campaign dubbed Crossfire Hurricane. In July of 2016, Peter Strzok opened a counter-intel investigation into Trump's camp, and the FBI never even gave Trump's camp a briefing warning him about a possible infiltration of a Russian spy, even though that was the reason they were investigating. Now, Attorney General Bill Barr, as we said, is out there speaking out about it, but we still don't know who that higher up is. What do you guys think? Was it Comey or was it McCabe? Now, not only is Attorney General William Barr speaking out about the IG's report, Durham also has some choice words for it. He released his own statement, which is actually disputing the IG report conclusions. Now, DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz put out that report today, and it revealed what we knew: the FBI defrauded the FISA court. However, Horowitz concluded the FBI investigation into Trump was not politically motivated, and John Durham had something to say about it. U.S. Attorney from Connecticut John Durham immediately released a statement following the release of the FISA report and disputed Horowitz's findings and conclusions. He said, "I have the utmost respect for the mission of the OIG and the comprehensive work that went into the report prepared by Mr. Horowitz and his staff. However, our investigation is not limited to developing information from within component parts of the Justice Department. Our investigation has included developing information from other persons and entities, both in the U.S. and outside the U.S. Based on the evidence collected to date, and while our investigation is ongoing, last month, we advised the Inspector General we do not agree with some of the report's conclusions as to predication and how the FBI case was opened," Durham said in a rare statement. I've never heard him give a statement before. Of course, John Durham was tapped by Bill Barr earlier this year to conduct the investigation into the origins of Spygate. And Durham has already traveled to Italy and other countries as part of his sprawling investigation into how Barry's corrupt FBI and intel agencies launched and carried out the largest spy operation of a presidential candidate in U.S. history. Now, unlike Horowitz, Durham has real power to bring the coup plotters to justice, such as the power to indict and impanel a grand jury. U.S. Attorney John Durham also blasted the FBI on Monday in a statement. Now, I've already had people emailing me saying that the IG report was nothing, that it's not what they wanted it to be. Well, guess what, guys? When it comes down to it, we have answers. We have an official government report stating that without the Steele dossier, there would have been no investigation. There would have been no FISA warrants. We also have detailed evidence proving that the FBI lied to the FISA court. We also have detailed evidence showing that they spied on President Trump and that it went to the highest levels of the FBI. The only thing it doesn't have is the statement that this was politically motivated. Now, the problem with this is that Horowitz cannot get inside the heads of these people. He's also not privy to a lot of other information that Durham makes note of here. With Durham having the ability to travel far and wide across the globe, to continue his investigation in many places that Horowitz was unable to go, I think it stands to reason that he's going to get a lot more information and the investigation is going to be running far deeper, especially considering the fact that he can bring actual criminal indictments. These indictments are coming, guys, and we will see justice. This is only the first layer of the cake. Now, what was really surprising to me, I think you guys are going to find this pretty interesting. This was a snippet here from the IG report provided by my good friend White Hat, who was on the show on Friday night. But apparently, the clowns in America actually called the bluff of the FBI. They stated that the information contained herein was not vetted and was therefore not accurate. It says, according to FBI staff, as the interagency editing process for the ICA, that's the Intelligence Community Assessment, progressed, the clowns in America expressed concern about the lack of vetting for the Steele election reporting and asserted it did not merit inclusion in the body of the report. An FBI Intel section chief told us the clowns in America viewed it as internet rumor. In contrast, as we describe in Chapter 6, the FBI, including Comey and McCabe, sought to include the reporting in the ICA. So what this tells me is that it actually looks like it was a lot more the FBI than it was the clowns in America. Now, that is not to say that the clowns in America did not walk hand in hand with the FBI as this investigation, or operation, shall I say, progressed, and that certain elements of the Clowns in America certainly had high-level roles to play, and including, I would say, John Brennan, and of course, we know Andrew McCabe and James Comey. Now, just a few more pieces of breaking news before we end for the day. It's also been revealed that Ukrainian officials have revealed 6 criminal cases they've opened in Ukraine involving the Bidens. Now, President Trump spoke to the press on Saturday at the White House as he departed for Florida for speeches before the Israeli-American Council National Summit in Hollywood and a Republican fundraising dinner in Aventura. Trump told the waiting reporters that his personal attorney, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, found plenty of good information during his recent trip to the Ukraine and Europe. Then Trump added that he believes Giuliani wants to present a report to the Attorney General and to Congress. Trump added Giuliani has not told him what he found. Well, Giuliani reportedly traveled to Budapest in Ukraine this past week, and he met with several Ukrainian officials about corruption. OWN reporter Chanel Rion has been traveling with Rudy Giuliani and reporting on his investigations in Hungary and Kiev, Ukraine. In her report released on Sunday night, Chanel Rion mentioned that Ukrainian officials showed her 6 criminal cases involving the Bidens, Joe Biden, and his son, Hunter Biden. Now, even more than that, Chanel Rion reported that when she got off the plane, none other than George Soros was there waiting for her. If George Soros is waiting for a news anchor when she gets off a plane going to get information about the Bidens, you know he's got to be scared. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the clip from Chanel.
With Rudy Giuliani. Giuliani had come under fire recently by House Democrats who were accusing Giuliani of digging up dirt on Biden to derail Biden's presidential dreams, a claim debunked in part 1 and 2 of our series. First stop, Budapest. We arrived at Safe House 1, a snow-covered hunting lodge in the woods beyond the Hungarian capital. There we met Yuri Lutsenko, the former Ukrainian prosecutor general. Lutsenko has had a controversial reputation, especially in light of what appeared to be a flip-flopping feud with Rudy Giuliani about whether he thought the Bidens committed any crimes. He says the Bidens have, but the media twisted his words. Lutsenko brought with him a stack of official communiques to demonstrate how Ambassador Yovanovitch perjured herself in Adam Schiff's inquiry. Lutsenko urged for the U.S. to open an investigation into what his prosecutor's office found to be a long line of money laundering tied to the Bidens. Target 2, Viktor Shokin, the former prosecutor general Biden is alleged to have fired. OAN offered to fly Shokin out to a location away from Kiev, but Shokin's health was not fit for travel due to what he says is an attempted poisoning. So we flew to Shokin in Kiev. A compound was secured just outside the Ukrainian capital. We traveled once again in caravans surrounded by security. Mr. Giuliani had not stepped foot in Ukraine for roughly 2 years, but as the witness list grew longer, the mayor decided he would enter the country with us to meet these witnesses in person. Shokin testified how President Poroshenko walked into his office and told him Ukraine wouldn't get $1 billion in U.S. loan guarantees unless Shokin stopped investigating Hunter Biden. This ended in Shokin losing his position as prosecutor general. Our next witness was a member of Ukrainian parliament, Andrei Durkosh. Durkosh has opened up dozens of inquiries investigating the misappropriation of U.S. funds in Ukraine and how the U.S. embassy acted inappropriately in the process. Durkosh also showed us documents pertaining to 6 criminal cases in Ukraine involving the Bidens, contradicting the lemming media's claim that the Bidens are innocent of all crimes. Durkosh presented compelling documents and testimony debunking the saintly Biden's narrative.
Well, it just keeps getting worse and worse for the Bidens. And as we've got this information coming out, in addition to the information about the IG's report stating that the U.S. government, elements of the U.S. government, tried to entrap President Trump and his staff, people in his orbit, it's obvious that they did not want this information to get out. Now, it also implicates Marie Yovanovitch in the fact that she perjured herself before Congress. I certainly am interested to see what comes of that. So, what does the IG report tell us? For many of us, not much more than we already knew. It's a lot of confirmation for things that many of us have suspected and been speculating on for the last several years. Please do not take it for granted that there are many other people out there who have not achieved the same level of awakening as the people watching this program. There are so many more people in America who need to understand just how far and deep this corruption ran throughout our own government. How much they were willing to do to take out a sitting president. This was a coup, make no mistake. And the IG report certainly proves it. Now, in the coming days, we've got the new report also that is going to be making an appearance by John Durham. We've got more statements that are sure to come from Durham and Barr as well. And once that happens, we are looking at an avalanche of criminal indictments that could be coming for many people in the government today and people who have already left. Please remember, guys, this is complete vindication for our stand, for everything that we've been saying over the last several years, and a host of Q proofs to come along with it. I don't think it's a bad news day at all. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pilled News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, it's Red Pill. I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching the video. Please do consider supporting the channel by liking and sharing this video. Do also make sure that you are subscribed and that you've got notifications turned on so you can be the first to see my videos when I put them out on a daily basis. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can always check the links in the description of this video below. And once again, thank you as always for joining me. Bye-bye.